Where do you think the Chargers made the biggest stride last season on field?
Where did we make the biggest stride last year? That's a good question, Marty. We didn't make the playoffs last year, which is disappointing. 9 wins, which is the same as the year before, but not making the playoffs. I guess, there was more consistency this year, and I think that was normal, whereas our first year, whole new offensive scheme, defense still making some tweaks, but the second year we're a little more everyone on the same page, everyone knows their role, everyone knows what Mike's asking of them, which is big, new head coach with new players. So it was more in repetition and just learning and playing faster. Playing much faster, you know what you're doing, rather than thinking, hey, is this new? Is this a different scheme? What are we doing? So we're probably more consistent. Still got to get a lot better. We need more than 9 wins to win the division. So
I want to ask you one question about the Combine before I get to your own team. Where do you see the most depth in this year's draft?
It's still early, but I'd probably say offensive and defensive lines are very strong, and we look at it a little bit differently. We're not just looking first round. We're looking 1 through 7. And those are 2 areas that I think are really deep, really throughout the draft, not just high in the draft. Those are the 2 which stick out to me right now.
When it starts to fixing the San Diego Chargers or getting back to the playoffs, I think it really starts with your quarterback, Phillip Rivers, last year of his contract. I think he expressed in an interview he's not sure about his future. How big a priority is it to signing Phillip Rivers to a long-term deal, and how confident are you that can get done?
Well, obviously, it's a big part of what we do. We want to retire a Charger. But, if nothing gets done this year, we have room to do what we need to do this year to have the best team on the field for 2015. So we're not hamstrung by his contract. We'd love to get a long-term deal done at some point, and when that time's appropriate, we'll get moving on it. But nothing's going to hinder us this year from doing what we have to do. Do
you plan to have any talks with his agents? I know a lot of deals get done, conversations happen at the Combine. Do you plan to have any conversations?
Yeah, we'll probably, a lot of our players, agents that are here, we talk to almost all of them, and we will talk to him and to see where they are. But our priority right now is really our guys with expiring contracts to see if we can get those going and get those started.
I would imagine same thing for Eric Weddle.
Yeah, same thing. Like I said, those guys, we want them here long term. They're San Diego Chargers. We want to keep our own, keep our core, guys that came up in this system. So it's the same thing. But we've got work to do with some other guys, and we don't think their contracts will hinder us.
How much do you want to bring Ryan Mathews back? You guys have all spoken about how much you know what he means to this team when he's healthy. The problem is he hasn't been healthy.
Yeah, well, I can't quantify exactly how much, but obviously if we have interest in him, and he's done so much for us. I mean, this is a guy last year that he practices hard, plays hard, and he knew he was in the last year of his contract, and he means so much to us. And when he's on the field, we're a different team, and those talents are hard to find, and so much he's given us. But it's the reality of professional sports and professional football, and we'll talk through some things and talk to his agent this week and see where things lead us.
How about with King Dunlap? He really took care of a huge need at left tackle for the Chargers over the last couple of years.
Yeah, King's done a really, really nice job, and had a couple injuries his first year with us, but played very well. And the last year played very well, consistent, 16 weeks, and you can trust him out there. And he blocked some pretty good rushers with not a lot of help. Help from time to time, but not a lot. He was on his own, did an excellent job.
How much do you think that your secondary coverage improved? Drafting Jason for at the time that he was able to play, and then bringing in a guy, 1-year deal, and Brandon Flowers.
That was a group, I think, that took the biggest jump from our first year to our second year was the secondary group. The safeties and corners. I thought they played really solid football for us. They really did. Played much better. Thought Sharice Wright came on. Gilchrist really came on. Those 2 guys are new. They were new starters for us when we first got here. Obviously, Brandon Flowers, to add him was a big help. And then Jason Verrett, we think has a lot of talent. He's going to be a really good player in this league. So it's a better group. And Jalil Adai is a great role player for us who's got a lot of potential. So that group really come on that, the first year we had some issues. I thought the last year they played really, really well.
Is Flowers another guy who you'd want to bring back for this next long-term deal?
He's another guy that we've been in talks with, since the end of the season. We'll see where that leads us.
You all talked about how irreplaceable a guy like Nick Hardwick is, and then I know at his press conference you mentioned that Chris Watt has all the intangibles of what we look for in a center, the leadership, some of the skills. Do you think his future could realistically be at center?
It certainly could be. It certainly could be. But there may be some growing pains, just like there were growing pains when Nick first took the starting center job when he was a young player. So you have to ride those out. But all the abilities there and all the intangibles are there. So, yeah, I can see him doing it. There's no doubt.
Last thing I want to ask you would be about Jarrett Johnson. He became a very important player in this team, leadership role, team captain. He mentioned he could be retiring. Has he spoken to the Chargers yet about his intentions for the season?
We've talked to him a little bit, both after the season and since then. And, we'll have some more news about that probably pretty soon.
Do you want to tell me right now?
No.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.